Welcome to season 2 of the Happy Sensory Corner podcast. We talk to like-minded professionals committed to enhancing the quality of life of families living with neurological challenges. We are experts in boosting brain development and in helping children recover from their symptoms, but we are not experts in everything. For example, we're not experts in what you eat or physical activity or advocacy and education, job training, travel. So we're really excited to have Mariela today as our guest. Mariela De Santiago is the amazing mom behind the New Mom Talk podcast. She's the founder of Carlsbad Mom Walks. She was also a special education teacher and a fitness instructor. So I think this episode is going to be really fun. Welcome, Mariela.
Hi, thank you so much for having me.
Yeah, and we're also here with Claudie Pomares. She's the creator of Sensory Enrichment Therapy. She's the chief science officer at Mentability, and we provide a unique, evidence-based, and clinically validated brain stimulation program that helps all sorts of neurological challenges. And Claudie will be doing some training on sensory enrichment protocols during this interview, so stick around. And as for me, Kim Pomeres, I'm the CEO at Mendability, but I'm also Claudia's son. So, hi, Mom.
Hello, you're my boss only at the office.
Lots of baggage there to unpack. Maybe with you, Mariela, you can help us with that. Have you ever worked with family?
I haven't. My siblings, I have siblings that are also teachers. One of them also teaches special ed, but in the preschool level. So I haven't worked with them, but we definitely have always kind of bounced ideas or learned off one another because you know, special ed in the high school level is very different from special ed in the preschool level.
Yeah, we've seen that when we trained the teams, special ed teams with the kids. They were like all over this and give us all the games and the protocols. But with special ed in high school, it's always, I don't think our kids are going to want to do that. I don't think our kids are going to want to do that. It's a whole different ball game.
Yes.
But let's start at the beginning, Mariela, with you. Tell us why? Why are you doing what you're doing today? Tell us about your journey. What obstacles came in your way? How did you solve them? And what do you have to share with our audience? We've got families who have children with special needs. We've got special educators on a call, and we've got health professionals. So what's your why?
Well, I was in the classroom for many, many years. I earned my master's in special ed with a focus on autism. And being in the classroom, I learned a lot of different skills with working with kids and being able to, I'm going to use the word negotiate, but really negotiate how to help them out and to get them to complete a task, right? So once I had my baby, I thought I was going to want to go back to work, and I just could not get myself to leave him, like I think a lot of moms do. So I decided to stay home, but I couldn't just stay home. I couldn't just sit back because then it was like I saw a need in my personal life where I was searching for answers on everything that was not related to being in the classroom. Everything from starting solids and feeding a baby or all of the different milestones, right? We don't get that in a classroom. At that point, kids are way beyond that. But I found that I was getting conflicting information, and it was really hard for me to determine what was factual, what was credible, and what was evidence-based. So
It just, and let me ask you this. Did you think going into parenthood, you know what? I've got this training, I was special education, I can help kids who have, different brains. So my baby is going to be awesome. I'm going to know everything. Did you go into this? Was that the mentality, the mindset?
No, I thought that when my son was going to start school, that he was going to be getting a lot of extra support here at home just because of my background. And that might still be the case when he is at that level. He's only 2. So, we are just now about to start Montessori. And I think that's going to be harder for me than it is for him. But I didn't know what to expect. I thought, you just figure it out as a parent, which you do. But there's a lot that I didn't know that I was Googling, that I was trying to find answers, and you get a lot of input from other people, and a lot of it is very personal anecdote, and it's not evidence-based. And that's kind of what I needed. I just needed the answers. Just give me the background of like, here's what's been studied, and here are all the answers to the questions you're asking on, let's say, starting solids. Now you do what's best for you and your family. Whereas I think that as parents, we're just bombarded by, you need to do baby-led weaning, or you need to do purees. Oh, you need to be doing this and that, right?
I know, and it
Now,
changes all the time, right? Because I remember eggs were bad for a while, then eggs are good, and then flavorless versus flavorful, scent-free versus no scents,
or the
and the whole
peanuts.
br yeah, the
Yeah.
peanuts, allergies.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's so are you like a subscriber to PubMed? Is this your library now? You go and Google, okay, solids, what is the latest meta-analysis and the studies? Where do you get your information?
No, I would talk to the doctor. We're plant-based. So for us, we weren't doing any animal products. So that was pretty simple in that case. But it was more so of like, I think the biggest fear for me was the peanut butter. I love peanut butter. I
Mm.
live off of peanut butter. And it was going to be very hard for me if I couldn't have peanuts. So
I
that was when,
agree.
yeah,
My first baby when she was born, I think she was just a few hours old, and I had a Snickers bar. Uh, why did I have Snickers bar? Because I don't eat those kind of chocolates usually. I must have found it. It must have been part
Hmm.
of the hospital gift basket or something. And I remember rubbing my finger on it and just getting the and rubbing the baby's lips. I figured if there's allergies, she's in the right place for something to happen. And if she maybe by exposing her, I was 25 years ago. I was, a lot, it was even more stupid then than I am today. But I remember doing that, and anyway, I thought that was a silly story to share.
well,
Yeah.
back then they did tell you like not to expose them to allergens until a certain age. Now it's the other way around. You have to expose them within that first year. So, science, it's interesting because it's always changing.
Yeah. Hopefully we know more, not less.
Yes.
Hopefully.
Yeah. And well, fortunately, my son is not allergic to anything so far.
Right.
Yeah, so that's kind of so anyway, with the constantly being on Google, I decided that there had to be a podcast out there where I could go out for walks because I had to move, right? I just had a baby. I didn't want to be stuck inside. I don't have the time. I'm sleep deprived. I wanted to listen to a podcast that gave me the information that I was Googling, but gave me like the evidence behind it in short episodes, like 20 minutes. It
Mm.
it didn't exist. I looked for about 3 months and then I decided, well, I'm not going back to work. I think I'm going to create this. So I spent 3 months figuring out how to create a podcast, and now I do what it is that I wish existed when I was a new parent. And then from there, I have the Carlsbad Mom Walks, which I rebranded recently to be Carlsbad Mom Crew. But that was designed with the intent of bringing moms together in different spaces through various events. But not only that, I really also wanted to share different products or services that moms would benefit from, let's say, a lactation consultant to like a pelvic floor therapist to a new baby product that everyone needs to try, baby snacks, because I think the small and local businesses don't really get that exposure. And so I wanted moms to learn about alternative options rather than just falling back to our typical, I'm just going to go to Target. I'm just going to get whatever's at the grocery store. I'll Google, and then you're not getting I don't feel like you get the same quality as if you work with the smaller local businesses that are putting all of their heart and soul, and the founders are still a part of it. And yes, they're trying to profit, but it's also very much they're backing their product and their service.
When I was looking for, people and resources to bring to our podcast for our audience, when I saw your profile, what struck me, or what I thought we could talk together about, would be ideas on how to strike a good work-life balance. And this whole idea of self-care and this balance. When you have a child with special needs, you probably don't have time to do a podcast. You probably don't have time to do research because your full-time job is now to become the manager of your child's life. You're going to become a lawyer. You're going to become a therapist. You're going to become all sorts of things that you had not anticipated. And so you have all sorts of responsibilities and emotions and time. And so when I saw your profile, I thought, oh, there's probably a lot that Mariela can share about. How do you, with your now, manage? What advice would you have for parents about self-care practices, managing stress, and managing work-life balance? Where do you want to start?
So I think starting off with determining what your boundaries are and being able to say no to things. It changes a lot when you become a parent. And so I think that when you are also a parent of a child that has special needs, you have to have even stronger boundaries because you are being relied upon even more, right? So within that, you need to also be clear on like where are you allotting time in your day to do what you need to take care of yourself? And with self-care, I think we automatically think, well, that means I need to go to the spa. I need to go get my nails done. I need to have an hour to take a bath. Yeah, if you can allot that amount of time, I can't. If you can do it, that's great. But the reality is sometimes maybe just taking 5 minutes to sit in silence outside without anyone bothering you, that's a form of self-care. For me, I plug it in during his nap time. So during nap time, I take 30 minutes of time to work out. And if I'm not going to work out that day, then maybe I'm going to watch some trash TV or whatever it is that I need to do for that day to ensure that I'm giving myself that time. It took me a while to get to that point, but now I am very, very good at it. And I make sure that I squeeze 30 minutes in every day for just myself. And
Buddy, it sounds like we got an expert there. I know you deal a lot with parents and you wish that they. What questions do you have for Mariela? What should we ask her and then share with our clients?
Well, besides the amount of time, because we have asked that question so much to parents, when was the last time you did something for yourself? And unfortunately, generally the answer is, I can't remember. And so your first recommendation, check a piece of time, decide that this piece of time during the day, that's a huge step. It's already something that parents can think about before they are able to execute. But what would you say, because you talk about workout and you know a lot about fitness, I'm wondering what can a mom who's always at home and will stay at home for her half hour, Because if the child has an app, that's great, but maybe he's watching a cartoon over and over again, like our little kids with autism like to do. What could a mom do that would be fitness? And she's in her bathroom or she's in the kitchen, a practical one or two things that will make her feel better physically.
So I used to always use my time very wisely, even as a teacher. Like I would go for walks during my lunch break. I think if all you have is, let's say, 5 minutes and you need to figure out what can you do, because you don't need to squeeze in a 30-minute workout at all in one 30-minute break. I even sometimes have to break it up myself. So if you have 5 minutes, maybe just start with holding a wall squat for a few seconds at a time, like let's say 10 seconds, and then you take a 10-second break. Build up to where you can do it and you're able to maybe hold it up to 60 seconds or so.
So
There's
I'm going to play ignorant. We have parents around the world, and maybe the word squat is familiar to them, but can you explain how you do that one exercise? Because I love it. It's very short. Everybody has a wall. So I really want that one.
So with the wall squat, you are essentially you're sitting on a pretend chair. Your back is up against that wall. Your legs are at a 90-degree angle and your knees are directly above your ankles. So you don't want your knees to go in front of your toes. And you're just breathing in. Inhale, exhale. Try not to let your knees come in towards each other or let your knees go away. Just you're sitting in a chair as if it's comfortable, and it's not going to be comfortable if it's your first time trying it. But we're parents and we already know what struggles are, so you can get through a 10, 20-second struggle.
Yeah.
And
Well,
another one is, I know a lot of parents are probably not familiar, maybe they are, with the word Tabata, and that's a very simple 4-minute workout. So if you are already dressed in your athletic gear, it's 4 minutes of 20 seconds of a workout, and you're going to do the same move, and then you take a 10-second break, and then you do it again, and then you take a 10-second break. It's the same move. So you could be in the living room with your son and have some dumbbells and maybe just do some bicep curls. Use very small weights because it gets very heavy after you're doing this for 4 minutes.
yeah.
But there's definitely a lot of little things that you could just start to incorporate, or doing calf raises, or if your little one is still in a stroller and you live near a park, that's a great way to get that in. Walk to the park, because you don't need to be entertaining your child when they're in the stroller. They're already so stimulated with the outdoors. So
Yeah.
get a walk in, but maybe speed it up so it's not just a leisurely walk. And you can even listen to an audiobook or a podcast.
Yes, they have to listen to podcasts.
Yeah. And that's
I
another form of
like
self-care.
that. Yeah. I really like those ideas that are very simple to do. And for our parents, simplicity is very important. Thank you for that.
When you asked the question, Claudia, I thought you were asking if there was something that you could, like a daily life activity that you could turn into a workout, like washing the dishes on your tippy toes, or I was thinking all sorts of weird move, changing the baby, but without a changing table, those kinds of stuff.
On the floor, I suppose.
Holding a plank while you change the diaper.
Yeah, put it on
Yes,
your
yes.
head.
Oh, I hate this. It's the workout where you're in a plank position and then you raise yourself to a push-up position, then you come back on your elbows. And I find this one really hard. And I think it's because I have like a weak left shoulder that's always been bothering me. But you could do that, right? If you have your baby or your child and he's facing you and you're having some kind of moment, and would it be weird to be doing a workout like that and saying, "Oh, I'm coming close to you, then I'm going away from you, then I'm coming close to you."
Oh,
No.
No, not at all. I mean, I used to work out with my son when he was an infant, And there's baby and me yoga, but I would have him either sit in the little bouncer while I did a workout, or if I could incorporate him like with squats, I would hold him and just make it a game. And it also exposes him to seeing that this is part of our lifestyle and it shouldn't be a job or a task. This is what we do to stay healthy.
Mhm.
The way that I also look
I
at it is that we need to be able to stay healthy to keep up with our kids. They, they
Yeah,
have
they run fast.
exactly. They have a lot of energy. So if we're able to stay healthy, then we can definitely keep up with their energy level. 'Cause even
Yeah.
with coffee, I can't
Oh,
always do it.
I'm very cruel with my parents who have extremely busy children who seem to be endless, having endless energy. And I have them do the stairs 5 times in a row with the child because kids do not really exercise. They move a lot, but they don't. And so I hope that doing exercise is a good idea. Tell me, Mariela.
Yes, I mean, doing exercise not only helps out with our ability to keep up with little ones, but it helps our stress level, right? And it goes back to that self-care piece. If you're taking care of yourself, you're going to be a lot more present and able to take care of those around you.
Mhm. Well, I want to add here a little piece of science. I'm a neuroscientist, so I have to go back there every now and then. In fact, you're so right that because now we know that physical exercise, not exhaustion, but the one you describe, improves the production of serotonin in the brain. And serotonin is that feeling good, learning, sleeping, eating properly. I know that you are eating properly yourself, Mariela, but for our parents and the children, sometimes it's difficult. So, yeah, serotonin is a good friend of physical exercise.
Yes, see, I love this, the evidence behind it all.
Well,
you
that's
said
why we
something
talk together, right?
Sorry, you said something earlier, Mariela. You talked about, you said it shows the child that it's something we do. It's not work. It's not. Um, I wonder if we could, if you had some advice or some ideas. Our therapy program does not work if it feels like work. Okay, our exercises, for context, we do small, hands-on games, protocols. They look like regular daily life with a little bit of a twist. And that twist is what engages the brain, is what stimulates the brain's self-repair mechanisms. And you do that every day. And over time, the brain starts to create new connections. And with those extra connections, it can compensate for whatever weakness it had before. So there we prescribe activities for the parents to do every day, and they take a minute each or two. How do you how would you, let's say we prescribe some exercises too. In fact, let's give you an example. Claudia would be a good example. And then ask Mariella, how would she introduce that to her 2-year-old to make the 2-year-old feel like it's fun and it not work, like they're having a bonding moment with mom? What's a good example to
Well,
be?
one of the exercises we do with babies is an exercise where, and I think that would be in your alley, Mariella, discovering the elements of pleasure of various foods. And we use essentially vegetable and fruit, and we have the mom first make the child smell the aroma of that fruit or that vegetable. And we said, don't show anything, just wrap a piece of, for example, cucumber in a piece of tissue, have the baby smell it. And then we show a picture, a flat picture of that vegetable or fruit. And when we do that, because it's pleasurable, the smell boosts production of dopamine in the brain. So that gives a reward to the baby who's enjoying. And it connects the two, the visual system and the sense of smell. Now we have those two steps that are crucial for feeding, right? And then the third one that is always surprising for a lot of parents is we have the baby or the child discover the texture of the fruit. And I was talking of cucumber. It's a very interesting texture. So we ask permission and we say, can I touch your arm? And can I touch your cheek? And then we go and as we do it every day, either we change every day or we use the same, but we have the child enjoy the sense of touch, which sometimes for our kids on the spectrum is not very easy. And we do not use the hand. We are going through the pleasure of discovery of touch with that fresh fruit or vegetable. And we finish with what we have discussed a little bit before our podcast, which is fighting allergies and giving a very tiny exposure. So we have mom touch the fruit, open fruit with our finger and then rub that finger on the lips of the child. And so that's a complete 4 steps. I haven't seen any baby disliking it. And there's no word to talk about. We speak about, oh, that smells so good, or it feels so funny. We definitely have a conversation, but we don't learn the word and we don't learn recipes. We're just about building inside the brain the 4 lines of information that will lead to the pleasure of food. Because chewing and swallowing are mechanical and they are about survival. So usually the brain puts on hold a little bit the pleasure processing. So sometimes kids are introduced to a food before knowing it's a wonderful thing. So that little activity that takes 1 or 2 minutes helps children and sometimes young adults discover that besides putting it in your mouth, that piece of food is wonderful. And so that's one that we like to do with very tiny kids.
And when we do the very same protocol with a wide range of kids, and this is a protocol we call the multisensory core protocol because it's a good way of sort of activating a bunch of different areas in the brain before we move on to the next protocol. And so often we have parents saying, well, how do I keep this fun? How do I keep this engaging over time? Do you have, as you were listening to Claudia's giving you instructions, did you did you have some thoughts or some visuals, just some advice to help our parents?
Well,
Keep it fun.
it's always making it a game, right? So even with my 2-year-old, he doesn't always want to, let's say, pick up his toys sometimes. So rather than telling him and telling him and telling him because he's not going to comply or getting upset with him because he's 2, what good is that? Then I have to turn it into a game, and maybe that game is a race. Oh, I'm going to put away more toys than you. And then that gets him so excited, or maybe giving him options. The other thing I do is, do you want to put your toys away by yourself, or do you want me to help you put your toys away? So I'll try a few different things depending on his mood, but I try to get creative on like what is a game that he's going to enjoy. Or maybe I'll do something like, I'm going to pick up all of the monster trucks and you pick up all of the other toys. So
Mhm.
I play around with just different ways. It's not always the same one, but I do always give him the choice, especially if he's not wanting to do something. Um,
Mm. I like the concept of choice and a little bit of competition. Uh, Maybe it could not be applied to that one activity, but we have so many. I'm pretty sure there are some that we can apply that concept of, okay, who's gonna be doing it faster or first? That's a good
The choice
concept.
bit you could do with having a choice between for that day, the cucumber theme or the banana theme,
Yeah,
couldn't you?
yeah, let's use a choice idea. Yeah, I like it.
because that
Right.
gives them the control, which kids don't have really very much control in their day already as it is. So when they do have a little bit, they I think it makes them feel good. Like, oh my goodness, I was able to control one thing out of my day. They don't get to control what time they go to bed, you know, what time nap time is, what they're eating for dinner, but having choices throughout just gives them that sense of autonomy and being able to determine what they want to do. The outcome is still the same, right? Like when I
Yeah.
ask him, do you want to pick up your toys by yourself or do you want me to help you? The end goal is those toys are going to be picked up. It's just how are we getting there?
So I have another question for you. Uh, a lot of the children we work with are very picky eaters for all kinds of reasons. Um, did you have the opportunity to encourage your child to eat something he didn't want to eat? And how did you make it happen?
So my son loves food. I love food. I think he got that from me. Um, he loves food and really the options. He's never been a picky eater. He has his moments where he maybe doesn't want to eat broccoli that day, and I don't force it. So the way that we kind of try to encourage him to eat something that maybe he doesn't want to eat that day is through seasonings. Do you want to put pepper on it? Do you want to do it, or you want me to help you? How about some
Mhm.
salt? Do you want, you know, we call it dip, any sort of like dressing. Do you want dip instead? So giving him again the options and that control. And we usually only do two options. More than that, I think is overwhelming for really anyone, but just very two easy, realistic fixes. And all we're looking for is for him to try it. And if he tries it, that's successful and he doesn't have to eat it. So
Yeah,
that's
it's brilliant because the food is gonna be staying on your plate. So, but you have options about how you will have it, and that sort of reduces the anxiety about the broccoli. It's no longer about it; it's about okay, what would I put in it? That's yeah,
Do you
that's
think
a great tip.
kids with autism have the mental image or the self-awareness to be able to imagine that the thing that they are afraid of because of the texture or the temperature is going to be better once they do this thing to it, this modification to it?
Well, that can be expanded to like maybe do you want to eat it with a spoon or with your fingers? The idea of choice and taking over a decision is something that I really like. And they probably will not understand what would happen, but if we show a nice topping uh, or grains of pepper, I don't think they would eat it, but they are fun to manipulate. I like the expanding the choices, but also the quality of the experience and giving an option to the kid. Probably they will not still want to eat the broccoli, but it changed the conversation. It's no longer, I don't want the broccoli yet, but all of that is not of a great interest. So suddenly, yeah, it's a different situation.
Hmm. I wanted to talk about applying business principles to parenting, but I'm seeing the time. Um, and it feels like maybe this is a whole other episode. Uh, Mariela, what is the biggest, what is the one or two, I'll give you two, time management techniques or business management techniques that you think totally applies to the daily life of a parent who has a child with special needs? Is there something you've learned by, in your entrepreneurship or anything? Time? Yeah.
I think the biggest takeaway is really setting boundaries. So for me, that is I don't do emails when my son is awake because I'm not going to be good at them. So I wake up early. And yes, it's hard, but I wake up earlier than he does. And I try to do what I can in the morning. Lunch or nap time, that's the other time that I allot for certain things. And evening after bed, that's the other time that I do emails. But I'm very consistent, and anytime I have a call with a potential client, I just let them know, like, I will take calls when my son is awake. He's going to be in the background, and if that's something that bothers you, then I'm probably not going to be the best business to work with, because my business is my son is my partner, right? He
Mm.
does everything with me. So, and I also let them know I'll send you an email, but the emails are not going to happen until the evening. So I try to set those very clear boundaries and guidelines, and a checklist. I love checklists. That feeling of checking something off when you're done is just like, oh, at least for me it is.
Mhm. It
So I
sounds like what you're describing is like time blocking. Is this what you mean by I know I'm going to be doing my emails and I know it's going to be between this time and I can forget about it. I can stop worrying about it because I know there's a block of time scheduled ahead of time. And is this what you're talking about?
Yes, definitely that. Setting times where you can be, where you know that your little one is going to either be sleeping at an activity, is going to have some support at home that doesn't require you to be completely present. But let's say that you have a therapist coming to your home and you simply need to be in the home. You don't need to have all of your attention during that time. Is there something that doesn't require 100% of your attention that you can do during that time while you're in the home? Working out would be a perfect example. Maybe prepping food, whatever you need to do during that time that can help you. Creating a checklist that might be like your grocery checklist for the week, or maybe coming up with a menu for next week.
Yeah.
When do you do your scheduling? At the end of the day for the next day, at the beginning of each day, on the weekends? How do you do it?
I typically do it the night before. So I'll create my checklist of things I want to do for the next day. But I also create a checklist of things I need to do that are maybe more of like a long-term task and not a need need to be done within 24 hours. So some of those things might be create list of questions for upcoming guests, or create post for September episodes, that kind of thing. And then I add them on later on as I need to.
Speaking of episodes, I'd love to end the podcast on maybe you sharing what is what has been the most rewarding aspect of starting New Mom Talk, the podcast, and supporting other moms?
It's honestly been the amount of education that I feel I have gotten from all of the experts that come on. I feel like I've learned so much, and I've also found a passion for that postpartum stage that it doesn't get talked about very much, and really reminding moms to prepare as much as they can for this, because we don't prepare for it, and we should. We're taking care of a human. We need to take care of ourselves. And it is not selfish to take care of yourself.
We did not talk enough about that. It's a very important. Thank you for ending the podcast on this very strong point. Um, Thank you everybody for listening. We'll see you all in 2 weeks and have a good and blessed day.
Thank you. Bye.
Thank you.